says recording.
Oh, now we're live. All right.
Welcome.
Welcome back to a new episode of BrushbackMLB in person, and we're in a brand new studio.
Yeah, this is some nice digs we got here.
Whoever owns this place has got it made.
If we had the ability, we could move the camera and show you all the beautiful stuff that's been
No, but instead enjoy that wall.
Yeah.
Right now, all you're gonna get is the wall. But more to come. Yeah, this is a nice space to be recording live in today on Sunday. Today is what is today's day? Today's the 19th.
Day
Yeah,
after
today's
the full
wow.
moon. It's the
Day-
only way I remember that.
Really? After the full moon. Max Tim, everybody.
Yes, welcome aboard. We've never had an on-camera guest
Not
at
on the
all.
show, no.
Feels very special.
Well, it's a new thing we're doing. Obviously, we're always when we do this. Scott's in Madison, Wisconsin, and I'm here in our home studios here in Pasadena, California. And it's nice to add, and have Scott here, but also Max, as a guest on the show, resident Cub fan.
I was going to say, this is the first time we've had a non-White Sox fan.
It's about time.
Because it is about time. We've had Tucker on one time. Tucker filled in for Joe one time,
That's
but
right.
otherwise it's always just been us. So yeah, there's going to be. I'll try to be Sweden. I'll be the demilitarized zone in between
Impossible.
you guys.
Bring it on. No, I'm kidding.
I fell off the stage beforehand, so already the White
Yeah.
Sox have a one-up on me.
I know it was
Stupid
all
drunk Cubs fan on the stage.
It's where we put the camera on purpose, so that move over
It's
a
just
little,
a little-
Max,
keep
just
moving.
a little bit,
One more
a
step
little
back.
more, yeah.
Can't get all of Niagara Falls in. Yeah.
And then next thing you know, boom, you were down for the count.
It was the slowest fall in history.
It was. You broke it very well, though. It's like it was, and I'm grateful you didn't get hurt because we do not have liability or any kind
I might
of
have a
insurance
little bit of a
whatsoever.
sprained finger.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from his
There's
lawyer.
an urgent care down the road. Yourself, man. All right. What do we do here? Well, we talk about baseball.
Indeed, we do. And there's already a Go Brewers comment
Oh boy, who's the Brewer fan?
from Miss Wendy Lynn
Who's
Stotts.
Wendy Lynn Stotts?
Scott's fiance.
Love my life.
Oh, right.
That's right. Cool,
And-
man.
Yeah, I did. On the drive over, Max said he didn't have any of his Cubs shirts handy, so I did offer a Brewers shirt, and he declined.
Well, I could have given you my St. Louis Cardinals shirt.
That's a lot worse.
Really?
I'd pull
Historically.
for the Brewers. I would definitely pull for the Brewers over the Cardinals. I'd pull
Okay.
for the Brewers over the White
Hey, really?
Sox.
Wow. As a Cub fan, I'm surprised that you would say that as a Cub fan.
If the Brewers were playing the White Sox in the series, I'd be pulling for the Brewers. Yeah.
Wow.
But if the White Sox were playing anybody else, I'd be pulling for the White Sox.
Okay.
Well, okay, I thought you were saying, but I'd be pulling for anybody else.
Yeah.
Moving right
So-
along.
But speaking of, last time we were on, which was we took a longer than expected hiatus as summer started to get in the way for me,
Yeah.
for sure.
Sleeping in,
But last we checked in, the Cubs were a basement dwelling team, and now they are in first place in the division.
How about that? They have really turned it around, and that's really hats off to me. And they could not have done it without me, or probably would not have been able to do it with me. Let's put it that way. Because they're
We'll
wherever
put it
they're
some
at.
way.
They're where they're at right now because I was not involved, and I think I would like to just tip my hat in my direction. I did nothing for this at all.
How
and
involved do you guys feel when you're watching a game? Do you feel like if I don't watch right now,
Oh,
they'll
they're
do better?
I mean,
Good question.
yes, I've had that feeling. The other day, tuned into a White Sox game and they were down 4-1 or something like that, and the first batter I heard got a hit. I'm like, okay, I'm good mojo. And the next batter hit a homer,
Right.
and they ended up just only the White Sox scored the rest of the game. So I'm like, well, you're welcome, guys.
Right.
But I definitely feel the curse thing too. Come in, we're in the lead.
Totally.
I watch, lose the lead.
Yeah.
I change channels because I'm disgusted, and then they're up again. Like, all right, I should just stay away from this one.
Right.
If it's on, it's on until the game's over. I mean, it's like background music for me, and I'll switch.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll watch like 4 games in a day, because the studio just has them on all
Oh,
the
I
time.
see.
They just
Yeah,
kind of on the loop. We have the package, but like for the White Sox games, once that game starts, it's on, and I'm watching it all the way through. If I walk away from it, it's probably because it's like I think they were down like recently, like 15-1 or something like that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah.
like, what's the point? This is
Yeah.
ridiculous. I think
No, it's
Doug
painful.
DeCenzo was brought in just to
It's
like
more-
pitch the final inning. You know what I mean? Like it was like, I mean, and he doesn't play anymore. So it's like, I mean, I could have done that. It was like, okay, we'll just see you tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, no, it's painful. I have to turn it off sometimes. I just get so frustrated.
I will say this though, like the next day, and I was like this growing up. The next day you would read about the game in the newspaper, like the Chicago Tribune or the Sun Times. Especially as a White Sox fan, you couldn't get games on WGN. You had to have Sports Channel. You remember Sports Channel?
Right.
And when they finally went to WGN, they were limited games. So like I just didn't have access to watch the games. I had to listen to it on the radio. Next day I would read the box scores, go over the box scores, and read the game summary.
Yeah.
If the Sox lost, they did not get my attention that day. I did not read. I didn't go over I didn't read the box scores or any the game summary.
You would just see the score and then you go screw that.
That's it. You know what? You don't know. You gotta.
You gotta earn it.
Yeah, earn it. But like, man, there's sometimes
you're
reading
not
through
been
it.
following for a lot of the season.
I'd read the notes, like they're like the White Sox notes, or like each.
Yeah.
They always have a section just like what's going on.
What year in your childhood do you remember the White Sox being really good? Like
before '83?
Before your age 15.
In '83 they were really good, but after that, up until then, they were always mediocre. They finished dead last in '89. '90 was the final year in Comiskey Park, and that was the year they came out of the gate very unexpectedly and performed very well. They were in first place at one point.
That's right, I do think.
But they lost by 3 games to the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
And that was the final year in Comiskey Park.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What year was the strike? It was
94.
Okay.
That was the year, I believe. And in '93, they won their division.
White Sox did.
Lost
It
in
was a Bo Jackson year.
Yeah, it was a Bo Jackson year. They lost the division in '93, came back in '94 as one of the best teams in the majors.
Right. They were heavily favored.
With the Expos.
Yeah.
Remember the Montreal Expos. Then the owners locked out the players. The players didn't go on strike.
Right.
The owners locked the players out.
Yeah.
And the owner who led that charge was Jerry Reinsdorf. And his team
was in first place.
Fucking Reinsdorf. So it's like, what the hell's going on here? And then they missed the World Series. Everybody did that year. Nobody played in the World Series.
There was no second half of the season.
This was 25 years ago, by the way.
It's so wild.
The 125th year anniversary of Major League Baseball, or as long as I remember that patch that they had on their the 125 year pass on their arms. This year it's the 150th. I don't see that patch. Maybe they know something. I don't want to jinx it, but
it's funny that we are coming up on another CBA. There's going to be there's already talk, which is a good thing, that there's communication. There's little back and forth rule changes, rosters expanding, that kind of thing. The trade deadline is the secondary trade deadline is gone already.
Oh, that's one of the rule changes they're trying to make too, isn't there?
It's already a fact that there's no the July 31st deadline is the only deadline.
Right.
There's no longer that August 31st one as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They just got rid of it.
The non-waiver deadline's already kaput.
How does that save time?
How does it save time? What it does is it makes people have to develop their team earlier.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They also, it makes the off-season more important. Get your guys now, because there's less opportunity to pick up guys as the season goes on.
Find out pretty early the teams that are just throwing in the towel.
There's so many people, so many teams. The White Sox were this team for the longest time, where by the July 31st deadline, they don't know, are they players in the game or not. And so then by the end of August, they would finally dump all their players.
Right.
So they got to pick a lane quicker.
Okay, I'm cool with that. I think a little pressure on the White Sox front office is I think acceptable at this point in the game.
Sure.
They need to get their act together. Man. There's a couple starting pitchers out there that are like Cy Young caliber that are not signed.
Well, definitely Dallas Keuchel.
Still not signed.
And like we've had 3 pitchers this year go on the DL or the IL. Illinois, obviously, for Tommy John. Like, there's a pattern developing here, and it's within your organization. It's either something's wrong here, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not going to name names and point fingers at anyone specifically, but I'm looking at the trainer, the pitching staff, coach.
I don't know.
So there's a lot of factors that come into play.
And as I had mentioned on our in a conversation offline, that there was one year where the Sox lost their entire pitching staff to torn labrums, and I thought the same thing. And we still have the same people in power that are coaches and whatnot. So freak shit happens. Just ask any Yankees fan right now.
God,
That's true.
They're just a rash of so many of their players,
Yeah.
including was Andahar season-ending surgery. That's a more recent one as well. But and they're still competitive. The Yankees are still doing pretty well, which is unbelievable because this is not how they planned for the season to be going. They're second place, just a half game behind Tampa Bay.
Their DL is like an all-star team.
It is.
Although I think Tampa Bay is living up to their reputation and up to their expectation this year for sure.
Oh, if not excelling it.
Yeah.
But they're one of these teams that, like the Twins, they're always scrappy. They always stick around, and to beat the powerhouses, New York, Boston, it's great. Well, I guess we'll do that quick look around the league right now. In the last 7 days, the teams that have made the biggest strides, the Yankees have actually gone up. Their playoff odds have gone up 5%. Red Sox have gone down another 6.5%. Talk about a underperforming team.
They're only a game over 500.
Chris Sale does have one win now, but he's actually been pitching really well this month.
He had 17 strikeouts the other day. I don't think he got the win.
No.
He had 17.
The month of May. Yeah, it's his career best. 17 strikeouts. The month of May, he's got a 1.29 ERA and a 1-0 record. So 2 no decisions in there, including a game where he struck out 17 and a game where he struck out 14.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he seems to be back, even though his team is not supporting him.
.48 whip isn't exactly anything to say.
No, less than a runner, less than a half a runner per inning.
That's pretty impressive. Good for Chris.
Yeah, he's back.
It's nice to see Chris kind of work himself out of this jam.
I'm not happy for him.
Well, I kind of feel like, when you win the World Series, especially like you go deep into the World Series like the Red Sox did last year, and he really didn't pitch. They shut him down at one point during the end of the regular season so they can save him for the postseason. He didn't really pitch a whole lot. He didn't even start that much in the World Series. They saved him for the very last save.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to me that was an indicator maybe there could be some health or arm issues.
Yeah.
Which is amazing because it did seem that way, but then they still gave him a big money extension.
Right.
So well, they must know something.
But then something came down, and then all of a sudden the horrible start. So it was like, what is going on? But he works it out, and it's like that's a testament to his character.
It's a long season, man. He's exhausted by the end of that year, and then everybody is. I think the Cubs had that problem last year in the playoffs. They were exhausted. You could tell there's no energy by the end of that.
Sure.
There's fatigue sets in, man. Especially when you're going deep in the postseason, multiple seasons. Like Cubs won their division. What is it, 4 years in a row, or were they a wild card one or whatever? But they've made the postseason.
Last year
last year's a wild card.
Yeah.
Okay, but they made the postseason 4 years straight
Since 2015. Yeah.
Okay, that's like.
That doesn't
like
happen
Atlanta
much anymore.
Braves.
For the Cubs, it's
you know
a
what I
freaking
mean?
dynasty. I mean,
No, I remember so much of my childhood that the big question for the Cubs wasn't about the World Series. It was, can they have 2 seasons in a row where they finish over 500? Because they went up, down for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And they would have some of the ups were really high when, Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor were in their prime.
Yeah.
But then fatigue or whatever, injuries,
Management also. I still believe Wrigley Field has a huge play in it. I think they're adding night games. They're improving the locker room.
Yeah.
It's easier to get around the stadium.
It's like the best locker room in baseball now, I think.
Yeah. No, it makes a huge difference.
But now they have no money.
I don't know about that.
No, but that's what they're saying.
They said
Well,
that's what
that's
Rickett
what I mean.
said.
I think
Yeah,
they're
the owner.
lying. I don't know how you not have any money.
No, they have to be up there. I mean, they're not a Yankees level, but they're such a beloved, nationally known and loved team that it kills me that he said, well, we don't have the money to reinvest in the team, which has to send a bad message into the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Every team in Major League Baseball is worth at least $1 billion.
Right.
Even the Marlins are in this game. Right?
Yeah.
They have that kind of value. The Cubs are up there with the Yankees and Dodgers, obviously. I think the Cubs are somewhere in the 3s or the 2s, maybe even more.
Well, they poured a fortune into the renovations, so that's probably where they're saying.
Right. Where are the Cubs? They're at
$3.1 billion.
Yeah. And it's
revenue 452, operating income. Well, I don't know where they get all this.
No, I was trying to find a publishing date on this to make sure that we're looking at the current season.
I saw every team though is in here at least $1 billion. So I mean that's something I saw earlier.
$1 billion for the Marlins.
Right.
That probably is an accurate one.
What's the percentage that?
Sorry, this is growth percentage growth. So 7% growth for the Cubs year to year.
And they've also revitalized Wrigleyville a little bit more too around the stadium.
Oh, huge!
So I mean,
they're pouring money into it. So I get it what they're saying. We don't have the money to, but I mean, the problem is that they're relying on this current pitching staff to continue this season, and I just.
How's Yu Darvish doing?
He's coming around. He's looking a little bit better, but boy, he's shaky, man. He's had a couple nice outings where he's hitting his spots, but there just not a whole lot of confidence. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because Hendricks hasn't been performing, but the difference has been over the past month is that their pitching came around. Because in April, oh my God, they were miserable.
So that's the thing. Like in a season, you could lose a division. You won't win a division in the first month of the season, but you can definitely lose a division in the first month.
And they've been bit by the injury bug. Brandon Morrow.
Morrow has not come back, and then there's oh God, I think there was somebody else. So Strope is on and off, and then their bullpen's been hit pretty hard. But if you look at the Brewers in the same situation.
Yeah,
their pitching staff is miserable.
How are they playing? Have they played the Brewers this year yet?
Yeah.
How are they looking against the Brewers?
Pretty solid games. 1-run differences back and forth. I think they're up 1 maybe in the overall series, but
okay. Cool.
But I think the Cubs got lucky because they were playing them without Yelich for a couple games or something.
That guy's on a tear.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have him on my fantasy team, and it's just like thank God.
Let's talk about your fantasy team. What's the name of your fantasy team? What do you call your team?
I'm the Wiz.
The Wiz.
That's the name. That's the name of the team. Yeah, I'm the Wiz, and it's from Seinfeld.
I'm the Wiz.
The guy, remember the mattress salesman guy with the crown, and he'd say, "I'm the Wiz." Yeah,
I'm the Wiz.
I'm the Wiz.
That's awesome.
And I'm playing the best team in the league right now, who can't go wrong. That other team, this guy, is getting full production or more out of every single guy on his team, and it's really frustrating. And I'm not.
What are some of your big scoring point generators? What do you guys rely on the most?
Pretty heavy on pitching. I mean,
so who's your ace?
So pitching and it's
pitching
been a down
is
year.
huge for our league, but my ace so far has been Barrios of the Twins. He's been really solid. Mm-hmm. But then, like I was telling you last night, I drafted some guys that I thought I was going to be kind of sneaky about, because MLB Network was talking about how Freeland from the Rockies was going to be Cy Young candidate, Flaherty of the Cardinals was going to be a Cy Young candidate, and then Wheeler of the Mets, and then Weaver from Arizona. I'm like, yeah, I got some. They have not been performing. Barrios is the only guy that's been performing. Flaherty's been a bum. I picked up Fears at the or I don't know if you say Fires or Fears of Oakland early on in the season. Dropped him. The 1 week I didn't have him, fucking no hitter.
Oh my God!
I pick him back up, and now he's
well. They have obviously, yeah. He's gonna. That's like the curse of the no hitter in fantasy baseball. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go get him back. It's like, no.
I remember snagging him for the week he had a no hitter one time.
Oh my God!
I think
you picked him up off
he was off the scrap heap, and he pitched a no hitter for me.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and so I've got Yelich, Goldschmidt, Judge, but he's of course on the DL. Mitch Haniger was a sneaky little pickup, and he's been hitting pretty well. Escobar in Arizona has been doing well. I've got a pretty good team, but they're just not fantasy sports. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I'm looking
at
Judge.
You guys are playing this year.
No, I don't have one this year. I've been in your league before. Are you guys playing for money this year, or is it just like
it's winner takes a certain chunk of
the other person's home?
Yeah.
Or you take on the loser's mortgage or something like that, or
So it's going to be. I'm just looking at the Yankees injury report, which can't even fit on the one page. But May 28th is the return date for both Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. Man, there's a lot of muscle coming back to that team on the same day.
And they're saying out at least until May.
Until at least.
I'm hearing early June for Judge. I think it's probably he as of, I think, what did it say on my little report here? He said as of May 9th, no baseball activity. So he's been doing no baseball activity since May 9th. So I don't know how he's coming back in a month.
Just watching Seinfeld reruns.
Probably.
And saying, I am the Wiz.
Right.
I have a question. Do you think that with these mega contracts that are going on right now, and we have an injury like Judge and who is his Stanton, and those, that's a big chunk. But that's two guys who represent how much a year in your payroll? 60. I think that's $60 million for two guys right there a year, roughly. Well, no, it's not $30 million a year, but
no, what are they specifically getting? It's
those guys are that's a big chunk of your
$40 to $50 million a year, I'm sure.
Something like that, right? and when you have like those kinds of contracts on those kinds of players, like, do you hold back? Like you said, no baseball activity.
Yeah, right.
At all. It's like, well, is he okay or not?
Yeah.
And what business do we have as fans to know the health status of the player? It's, I mean, yeah, they're public figures, but they're not like taxpayer salary. You know what I mean? Like, we have no right to their medical records.
You got to show them what you're looking at.
So
this is
I was going to say
central here.
So
this is all
Scott's baseball contracts. Stanton is making $26 million this year, and Judge is younger, so he's going to be down the list a bit. Here he is. He hasn't even hit arbitration yet.
684.
600,000, a little under $700,000. So all told, about $27 million is on the bench right now, just in those two guys.
Wow.
Tulowitzki, he's making 20, but I think a lot of that is paid. Yeah, most of that's paid by Toronto. So because he was a waiver claim.
Yeah. And then he got hurt.
This is nuts what you guys have here. This is pretty wild.
But
James Paxton's on the DL.
So why wouldn't you like hold off at $26 million a year? And like, no baseball activity. Just sit back.
Well, and
especially if you're like tanking.
Do you mean for the athlete or for the owners?
That's
both.
The thing. Exactly, both. I think the owner's like, hey, yes, $26 million this year, but 26 next year too. Then 29, 32.
Yeah. So like,
it goes on.
Hold back if the team, especially if the team is tanking. Like, hey, let's just play for that draft pick because that's what we're seeing. That's what the new CBA is going to be all about.
For the athlete, though, I can't imagine that's easy. To just sit there and go, okay, fine, I'm getting paid. That's not why they're there.
Well, no, but like, I mean, that's the contract. It's like, I mean, unless they have a grievance they want to file with the union, like, how would you prove it otherwise? I'm just throwing it out there, like, because of the way these contracts are coming up in the last couple of years, and everyone in the World Series and how they've been won by these teams with the development within, it's like the owners are in control.
Yeah.
Like, and you work for the owner like you did back in like 100 years ago for Charles Comiskey. It's like you got hired to pitch a game. Good, it's a 9-inning game. Go out for 9 innings.
Yeah, well,
that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know that you're getting paid for what you do. These guys are gonna protect their investment, especially when it's a $1 billion franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, their operating capital right now is capital's not the right word, but they're $204 million is what their payroll is right now. So when you look at that and you think, well, $26 million's on riding the pine. It's not that big.
So this is saying his contract is technically, I see, 13 years. Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a Stanton at $325 million.
In 2028, he can opt out.
Oh no, there's a team. I think it's a team option.
Team. Option. Okay.
Yeah.
So like factor that though into like say personal life stuff. Like what's his name from the Cubs? Unfortunately, Ben Zorbas is going through a divorce.
Oh yeah.
There's an article, I think it was in the Chicago Tribune, about like how the collection of data, and data plays a role in injuries as well, and like, hey, do we want to keep this guy out or not? When that algorithm's all getting factored into those decisions. When they're factoring in the data of like what the player's projected numbers would be for that year, then they start factoring in personal life. They're doing the same with Ben Zorbas. How is this affecting his play? Will it affect his contract? And now they run those numbers, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I'm sure you're a great guy, good leader in the clubhouse, good character, but like the numbers are the numbers; they don't lie. This is what we can pay.
The numbers have totally.
All of a sudden, you've lost control.
So
as the player.
Yeah. Quick, we always want to service our viewers. Thanks for watching, Damien.
Damien, he's in my fantasy league.
Welcome, Damien.
His team name, by the way, is Damien's Team.
Oh, really?
How did you come up with that one?
Yeah. Sounds like a real good owner to work for.
Right, yeah.
So we'll first take a quick look at the American League Central because he has a question about a player in there. The team that's not been on the rise, big time, the only team doing anything really, is the Minnesota Twins. They've increased their playoff odds by 7%. They are now favored, perhaps for the first time, to win the division. With the Indians, they've gotten a bit better, but they're still a middling team right now, only 4 over 500. The Twins are 30-15.
That's what I mean. So the 30-15 Twins, 31-15 Houston, and Houston's got a 99.8% playoff.
So so we're looking at Baseball Prospectus, and they put out their playoff odds at the very beginning of the season before a game is played. And so they go through all their steamer projections, and they see what each individual player is going to do. They find the WAR for the players. They find what they think the final record for each team is.
Okay.
And then as the season progresses, each day, the real life record and the real life runs scored versus allowed changes what their projection is going forward, but it all is...
So it's basically an algorithm that just kind of plays off.
Yeah, and it starts on the bones of their original thoughts.
Okay.
So therefore, something that's tough though is if there's a career or a season-ending injury for a major player, that's not immediately reflected. It's just how the runs scored and allowed.
It's just what you were talking about. It's fucking run by numbers. Excuse my language.
No, it's okay. It's not a family show. And it's even
Damien can handle it.
Even if it's a Sunday morning, we don't care. It's whatever. No, but it's my point. I think what I'm ultimately getting at is like baseball has always been relying on the human element, and I think that's what lended to its like awesomeness.
Right.
What is the beauty of something that is like eventually we're all gonna know the outcome before we do anything.
You've shamed Damien into changing his team name.
Oh no! I'll look into it.
See, nice work.
I gotta give you shit, Damien. Your team's getting
Damien,
better.
You shouldn't have to do that.
You're coming up
Go
from
back
behind.
And change it to
I don't
your
like that
name.
my team's looking like shit and yours is looking good. Yeah,
Mike Brennan's watching.
Sorry, Mike Brennan.
Oh, hey, Mike.
His delicate ears couldn't handle it.
Up yours.
I understand.
So Damien's asking what we think about Miguel Cabrera. I thought this was going to be just a miserable season for him. And I think he did start out kind of slow, and he's getting better as well. The last 15 games, he's hitting 320.
5 RBI.
Yeah. And he just passed, who did he just pass somebody on the hit list?
Who
like
hits in
Lou
front
Gehrig or something like that.
And who hits in behind? Or who hits behind Miguel Cabrera right now?
I don't think he's even an everyday guy anymore, is he?
How many at-bats has he had? That'll give you a good idea.
50 in the last 15 days, so that's a decent chunk.
He's not an everyday player when he gets kicked out in the second inning for arguing balls and strikes, which happened recently during a second game of doubleheader.
He's batting cleanup. They've got him at cleanup.
All right. Well, who
Nick
bats behind him?
Castellanos,
and then Rodriguez.
Because if he's got a decent hitter or two behind him in the lineup, but he's always going to see a good, decent pitch, no matter who you are. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter because they're fearing the batter behind you. But like, I think it's fantastic that he's having a great season.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and he's a guy he has the eye.
He's a natural hitter, man.
It's funny. He was the last Triple Crown winner.
Yes.
Almost hit 400, I think. Right? He was close.
He was up there.
He didn't hit 400, but he came close to it.
I see a 348 on here. I was so surprised that there was not more. And this goes back to MLB and what they don't yet do right. He won the Triple Crown, first guy to win it since Carl Yastrzemski, leading the league in home runs, RBIs, and batting average, and that wasn't a big celebrated thing. That should have been huge national news.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's something that doesn't happen anymore, and everybody talks about how NBA is so great at creating stars, and Major League Baseball doesn't capitalize nearly enough, and that's if you shave off 5 more seconds per commercial break, that's not going to make somebody a fan that wouldn't have been a fan normally.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Make these people icons and stars, and you want to watch them. You want to see them.
I will say this. I feel like baseball has dropped the ball on a marketing standpoint in that regard.
Yeah.
In terms of like, hey, let's celebrate these achievements. They've gone very aggressive with like the social media and the quirky little commercials in between games.
I think they are getting better.
Yeah.
Baseball players are not actors. Let's just
sure.
God,
but like those commercials, oh my God, are they horrible, dude?
Really bad.
Like Trout when he's watching an MLB broadcast, and you just see him like going like this, and he's like not even. It's like he's not that into the game. I guarantee you. Right? Like he's probably golfing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not playing baseball. He's not watching it.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like it's kind of like whatever.
Damien says even in Detroit it wasn't a big deal.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And to further that, like, there's other opportunities I think baseball has missed in terms of like centennials or like anniversaries.
Sure.
Like it's 2019, 100 years ago, a team threw the World Series.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we're not even gonna like talk about that.
Yeah.
That's
chances
crazy.
are they quietly made it against the dress codes wear black socks this year.
Whatever, dude. But like,
well,
it's
that's
crazy.
what what baseball has. They have the
but
history.
that's baseball's history.
Yes,
that's something like we have to like.
They need to use that because the NBA and the NFL did not really have that. They don't have that. Like,
not this level.
They don't have the data.
Level.
They have the data, but they don't have the library of content that baseball has.
Yeah.
Another one. It's 2019, 1959. The White Sox play the Dodgers in the World Series. All right. I'm a White Sox fan. I'm biased, but like let's break it down beyond that. The Dodgers are the number 2 market. Chicago is the number 3 market for MLB. 2 major markets. 60-year anniversary of
Oh,
playing
right.
each other in the World Series. We're not going to put these guys in each other's stadium for a series this year.
Oh, wow.
They're not playing each other at all.
Interesting.
What is wrong with that?
Yeah, right.
I remember at one point there was talk that the Sox, when they were going to do their interleague sweep through LA, that they would play at the Coliseum where the World Series was.
They did that a couple years ago. I think they did one game against the Dodgers, and I think they played the Dodgers. I think in the Coliseum.
Did they actually do it though? Because I heard that there was talk it was going to happen. I didn't think it actually happened.
I know there were games played at the Coliseum, like exhibition games.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the White Sox did play them. I also want to say maybe the Red Sox stopped in for a game, and they had like 100,000 people at the game.
Interesting.
Something like that.
Okay, so keep doing that kind of stuff.
But like
that would be great.
You know, it just doesn't make why aren't we capitalizing on that?
Well, and I love what the NHL does with the what do they call it? They do one game a year, 1 or 2 games a year at an outdoor venue, like they did one at Wrigley Field.
It's the New Year's Day game. It's the one that's like and it's at a baseball game or stadium or a football stadium.
Yeah. Outdoors. Yeah. It's just any kind of neat innovations like that.
Maybe
I think
baseball needs to pour snow onto fields.
I was going to say, have them play on an ice rink.
Right.
Who's not going to watch that game?
That'll be pretty.
Make them wear
a lot of balks in that game.
Yeah, there was some. It's too early on a Sunday. Controversy with the Cubs game yesterday about toe tapping, and how Madden, Carl Edwards was called for a balk for a move that he was told by MLB that he wasn't able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom of the ninth, the Nationals pitcher was doing this toe tapping, and Madden went nuts. He's like,
"Oh, sure,
blah blah blah. I'm protesting the game," and the umpires were like, "Nope, no big deal." And there was one of the Nationals players said. Madden just sometimes likes to make himself sound smart.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but I didn't see the move, whatever this toe tap thing was.
Yeah.
But Madden went off.
If he sets himself, then it's a set.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
But like,
I saw Edwards balk, and I was like, really? I didn't know. But Edwards immediately came off the mound like, fuck, I knew I did that.
Oh, okay.
Mark Burley balked twice in a game, I think in an inning. And like.
No, he didn't.
Well, no, we know that.
Yeah, Joe West said he did.
Yeah, like he was called for 2 balks in like the same inning, and like it escalated very quickly. Like,
it
was just ugly. But like to sit there and call a guy for 2 balks in 1 inning, where it's like it is suspect.
Yeah. Oh, and plus Joe West and Ozzie Guillen
and the
hated each other all the time.
So it was like, oh, we're gonna punish Burley.
I just heard how many years West has been an umpire. It's like 42 years or some shit.
He actually has a line of. Catcher gear, like umpire gear.
Oh my god!
Like with his name, like his own like little brand.
Wow.
And he and it's like he wears it during the game, and I actually saw the logo through his because it was overflapping.
Yeah.
It came over his uniform, like the guard.
Cashing in.
Basically. Yeah.
And I'm sure that wasn't by mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's got to be a rule where like
I just look at him,
get that back in.
God, you were an asshole, but.
Mm-hmm.
But they were, the guys in the Cubs broadcast were saying that West is really respected. Everybody understands how, and I'm like, really? I think he's kind of a dick.
He's a polarizing guy.
I think he looks at like in the history of umpires and his legacy compared to other umpires.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, the hard-nosed, character-driven, like doesn't take shit from anybody kind of umpire. That's
Mean Joe West.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
They call him.
It's like that's his legacy, but like it's like. Yeah, but that's not you. It's not genuine, sincere. You're just living up to like what you think you should be doing, Joe.
Right. Sure. Playing the character.
Yeah. Personas, Joe.
So, continuing our very slow trek around the league as we get sidetracked, which is what this is all about.
Right.
We'll go to the AL West, the team that really nobody's been on the move except for the Astros. And I shouldn't say nobody's been on the move because it looks like they've only increased their playoff odds by 1.6%. That's because they're already at 99.8%.
Yeah, right.
They've won 10 games in a row.
It's also because the A's have just bottomed out. I don't know what happened. The A's were supposed to be pretty good this year.
Same with the Mariners, man. The Mariners started out hot.
Yeah, they
hot.
Really hot. But they're going through that rebuild themselves, So
they were definitely overextended. They playing above themselves, if you will.
Well, we'd call them the Kansas City Royals of the American League Central. back in like the early 2000s. Like, yeah, you started out hot in Kansas City. Okay, see you in June, and then like they just tanked.
Man alive, they're already in last place in the division, 10 games back.
10 games
Yeah.
out.
Unreal. After having a pretty commanding lead at first.
But the Angels, where the Angels are in second. Angels are actually looking pretty decent, even though they're under 500 by a game.
Yeah,
I like the Angels.
they're
Not.
no.
I'm like, okay.
No, we never really. This is something that's frustrating. We think back also when Barry Bonds was at his peak with the Giants, and they just never built around him. Like, you have an Adonis type of godlike player.
I mean, you technically have Pujols and Trout on the same team.
Yeah, but Pujols is past his prime.
He is past his prime, but he's still productive. I saw a few highlights over the past week.
What do you think of the guy who got his 2000th RBI?
Wasn't that
It was a home run. No, Pujols' home run resulted in him knocking in his 2000th RBI, and the game was in Detroit.
Was
It was
that
like a week
Miggy
or two ago.
No.
What do you mean about the guy that got?
The guy who caught the
Oh,
home run.
Gott.
Oh, the fan, and I see.
Yeah.
I thought when you said Gott, I thought you were talking about a player that
I
accrued
got it.
stats.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
I don't think I've
Chicago
heard this
deal.
story. I don't know if you have.
I don't know what happened.
So like, Pujols hits a home run. What the home run is like his 2000th RBI.
Yeah.
I think it was in Detroit. Detroit front office. They go to the guy in the stands and like, hey man, let's do a swap. You want a jersey? You want a baseball bat?
Right.
We'll sign it for you. And he's like, get out of here. No, I'm gonna keep it. And then they kind of put pressure on him, and like the whole 9 yards. So like it's kind of like a weird story. Eventually he came back, and I guess he agreed to give it to he was like, I'm gonna hand deliver this to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And at one point, Pujols is like, I don't want this thing anymore. It's okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But like he was calling the Detroit and St. Louis, or not St. Louis, Angels, for basically turning the heat up on him, trying to give over the ball for something that really had no value.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Here's a couple swag items.
Sure.
Give me that ball that's probably worth what on the open market? And they even told him the ball would not be worth much unless they authenticated the ball that night, which meant he had to give them the ball to get.
You gotta wonder if they were bluffing.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And he's like, no, get out of here. So like
2000 RBI, Pujols is at 2005, and then next one's Alex Rodriguez at 2086. But then there's a huge jump. Who are the top two?
All time?
Yeah.
On the RBI list?
Yeah.
Oh boy, would
know?
Ty Cobb be on there or
maybe
Pete Rose?
I'm thinking
You
like
gotta
someone.
think obvious. Big boppers.
Well,
Barry
Bonds.
Bonds.
No.
Hank Aaron?
No.
Frank Thomas.
You got one of them.
Hank Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Mark McGuire. No. Willie Mays.
You're missing an obvious one.
Like Ruth.
Babe Ruth. Yeah. I would have probably called it Hank Aaron, but ironically, I don't think I would have thought of Babe Ruth.
No.
Well, we weren't.
Yeah. Aaron is a 22.97. Babe Ruth's 22.14.
Wow.
And then Rodriguez and Pujols are just over 2,000. It's pretty wild.
It's the eras as well. You think, well, hey, this is the juice ball era since the 90s, so it must be all the recent guys. But
speaking of eras and like terms of like strikeout ratios in different eras.
Yeah.
In terms of the hitters,
we're living in the golden era of the strikeout.
Like people, I saw someone on Facebook talk about the Tony Gwynn. Like, oh man, this guy struck out so little during a regular season over a 20-year period, and I remember thinking to myself, well, yeah, but like Nellie Fox, and like during 20 years playing for the White Sox and I think the Astros and somewhere else, the 45s. But like in 20 years, he struck out on average anywhere from like 11 times a year, but no more than 17 or 18 times a year.
Jeez.
And like Gwynn was like in the same ballpark, but like 11 times in one season, and he did it a couple where like that's how many times he struck out.
Well, it was the most insane stat
but
I've
that's
heard.
a different era,
Different era, exactly. But in the modern era, one thing that Joey Votto did for the first time in his career was just a couple weeks ago. He popped out to the first baseman. He had never done that in his entire career.
I remember them talking about that actually even before it happened. Like he had never done that before.
Well, Chris Bryant this week, I think he homered
3 times in one game a couple nights ago.
But it was like consecutive innings.
He had 26 consecutive on-base games where he got on base.
Okay.
But didn't he hit like a home run, 3 home runs in the same game? But like they came in like the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning, like consecutively.
Consecutive bats kind of thing, maybe.
Yeah, and like he's like one of like I think 6 players ever to do this or something like that. I don't know. If anyone knows out there, look it up and tell us. The
I think
intern's
an
off.
interesting thought about these old stats, though.
Intern gets Sunday off.
Yeah, we don't have an intern.
Let me refresh this.
With this Chris Bryant, he spells that with a K, right?
Right. Let's get hard and mean about that. But
where does he get off?
The pitching back then, like pre-70s, had to have been less than in comparison to now. Had to have been.
Yeah.
So I feel like the hitters were slobs. They were not athletes.
Yeah.
They
weren't working out all off season.
Oh my God! Through the '80s, they were doing coke and partying every night.
You know the greenies. You know what a greenie is, right?
Yeah.
Ever hear what a greenie was?
No.
During back in the day, it's like an amphetamine, basically. It's an upper. So like what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Like 60s, 70s, like Ball 4. The book Ball 4 talks about this with Jim Bouton or Bouton, whatever he pitched for the Yankees. He talked about like players would pop a greenie because they'd go out partying all night long, and they would be partying.
Yeah.
And really hanging out with the ladies.
Oh my God.
And then they'd come back and they'd pop a greenie and then go play a game because they were so hungover.
Right.
And that greenie got them through the game.
Yeah, I don't know how they did that. Oh my God.
Day in, day out.
I heard that the foul lines back then were all just cocaine.
That's what got them to run down the line.
That's why there was a lot more head first sliding into first back then.
You'd have to ask Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right.
Who said that?
Controversy.
Okay.
All right,
Here's the Chris Bryant.
Oh, yeah.
I looked it up.
3 home runs.
3 home runs to the same spot against the Nationals.
Same spot. Interesting. Okay.
So is it like the same guy, like the same seat?
I think what they're saying. Oh, I don't know about the same exact seat. That would be crazy.
On speculative start against a single strikeout.
Is it fun watching us read?
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about the National League East really
real
quickly. The team that finally is putting it together is the Atlanta Braves, which
Braves are coming along.
you got to love those young teams, Acuna and whatnot. But they were really scuffling to start it out. They are on a bit of a tear. They've righted the ship. They're in first place, tied. Or no, they're in the wild card seed right now.
7-3 in the last 10.
Yeah, they are still trailing. The Bryce Harper, can you call it a Bryce Harper led Phillies team when he's only batting around 200?
Yeah.
And striking out. He's making lots of fans out there.
It's more like a Segura-led Philadelphia team.
Yeah, they are. The fans are not afraid to boo in Philly, and Bryce is finding that out over and over
How
again
did
now.
Bryce not know that when he signed the
Oh,
damn
I'm sure he
contract?
Has he been complaining about it?
Yeah. Like,
Oh, has he? I didn't know he was complaining about it.
You got to be like, you have to know going into that environment. If you don't produce right away, they're going to come at you strong.
Real Muto is what I meant, not Segura.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
but
that was
Segura's
such a
on
great
there.
pickup.
Yeah.
All right, so I scanned the story. He did hit 3 home runs in the same game, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
Okay.
Each home run went to the same location of the ballpark.
Wild.
So I wouldn't say the same seat. Like,
Sure, but yeah, same
but
section.
like,
we'll
yeah,
say.
I mean,
Guy's sitting there like, what the heck is
It's
going on?
Is he trying to hit me?
Well, hold on. Now let's look into this. How did he be able? Like, it's not just like he's just boom. I know what I'm doing. It's like someone could be tipping off, stealing signs, and letting him know. Like that could be that's not necessarily the Cubs' fault. That's
You also
the
have to-
Nationals tipping their hand to
Possibly,
the Cubs.
but it was also about like 12-0 at the time. So the pitchers that were in there were probably not
Like
top-notch
Doug DeCenzo.
relievers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I know. I've been brought into pitch. I know.
I
what it's
just like Joe's need to go to
Doug
like,
DeCenzo.
They love it.
it's
No,
conspiracy.
Exactly.
It's always this conspiracy, Max. I figured them all out long ago.
It's somehow it was.
But nobody
Saul
wants
Chaney.
to listen. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. But it's all playing out before your eyes, right before your eyes. Right.
So Harper's already struck out 61 times.
Jesus.
That's he's leading his team with that. He still does have an on-base plus slugging of 830, so he is producing even if he's not hitting for average. Basically, he's missing or
How do
being
you
a good
figure
hit.
out on base plus slugging?
Oh, it's just on-base percentage and slugging percentage together.
As one, like
Yes, they
combined.
just add those together.
Just add
It
those
kind of gives
together.
you a more ideal, a better picture in one look at what he's doing
no
as a
idea
hitter.
that it was that simple.
Yeah, but then there's on-base plus slugging plus,
Yeah, right.
which that's the one that's relative to, it takes in ballpark and defense, and I don't know how that's figured out.
And the whole WAR thing, like the above replacement
Yeah.
I think is ridiculous because it all depends on who the replacement is. On the bench, there could be some no-name idiot. So of course, a Bryce Harper's going to be that much further above replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's again just a way to ideally look at all hitters in the same way and then be able to rank them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they decide what is a league average hitter. That's what's curious and interesting to me.
I mean, I could be the replacement, and of course the guy's going to be that much better. Well,
sure.
Me.
Yeah.
They actually, I read an article, I think it was on Fangraphs. They said, so you think you could be a league average hitter? What if you were given like a 10-day contract? What is the likelihood of what stats would you produce? We know you're not going to get hit. We'll just lay that out there.
Really?
And
me personally?
No, it was about Max Tim.
I think I'd get a hit.
You think you'd get a hit in 10
if
games?
they put me up,
you're 4 at bats,
5 at bats. I think I'd get at least a dribbler somewhere out in front where they're not expecting.
Are we allowed to bunt?
I could run it out. You just said a hit.
A hit.
Anything
or I can get lucky with a blue ball.
No,
I'm gonna hit the ball.
He could be a duck snort.
I'm gonna hit the ball not well.
Yeah, you'll make contact.
I'd make contact
in fair territory.
I think
it gives you the opportunity to run it out or whatever and be safe.
And that's going to be what 40 at bats.
If you can get 10 games, 4 at bats a game,
I think I'd go 1.
You
for
might
40.
get about 45 at bats though.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you get 4, I think you could do that.
That already puts you ahead of Chris Davis's recent streak.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
Is he 0 for 40 plus?
He was. Yeah.
Holy cow.
But he's turned that around too. Guys named Chris have turned it around this year. I'm not kidding.
I'm not kidding. Mike Brennan says, hard to say pitchers are better now. Pitchers regularly through complete games. Guys today may pitch faster, but at a cost. Look how rare a complete game is today.
He's right.
It's definitely true, but the complete game doesn't happen as often because of then bringing in a fresh pitcher that's then going to be that much more difficult for the batter to hit.
Yeah.
So technically, in the 50s, if a guy was going on 8-9 innings, he's at 125 pitches. That's to the batter's benefit.
Yeah.
But even in the 8th inning, 125 pitches is like, wow, that's not a lot in the 8th inning.
I suppose,
But that's, I mean, that could still be very efficient. Like there are guys who pitch deep into a game for a reason because they work very efficiently.
Yeah.
They're not throwing a lot of pitches. Unless if they are, they're getting hit deep. They're not completing that game. Like Mark Burley, I think when he pitched, like how many complete games would that guy pitch? And when he did though, like he would be done within like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
But like the pitch counts, he got the ball, he threw it, put it in play, relied on the defense.
Cole Hamels in the Cubs right now is kind of that way. They were saying that the guys love playing behind him because he's bad. Get it over.
Yeah. You're in and out. Like
he's
when
a
I
pro.
worked at the White Sox park. Oh, Burley's pitching.
Right.
All right, we'll be at the bar early.
Yeah.
Let's make our sales quick.
Early and bar early. It really went well together, man. You know?
Nice.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Let's see. We talked about the Central a bit. The Cardinals are the team that's really dropped off, down 10.5% playoff odds.
Look at what I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
The Cubs are
dropped us.
they've gone up 5%. The Pirates of all teams have gone up 6%, but they're still pretty lowly regarded.
It's interesting that they've got the Cubs. See, my standings say. What are they listing? Is this in alphabetical order or something?
No, in order of their playoff percentage.
Playoff percentage, and they're still giving the Cubs less than Brewers and Cardinals.
Because they started out so low.
Okay.
Yeah, the projections, and then they really did stink it up for a while
before
they completely turned it around, which really surprised me. I thought, you start out so bad, it knocks the wind out of your sails. It takes the wind out of your lungs.
Yeah.
How do you? But I think Joe Madden overdoes things a lot, but I also think he is a good leader. So
I think
he's a balance.
I mean, the players like him, so he's obviously a good leader. It's just the results, and that's what's really like a results for a baseball player. Results for the manager are just going to be scrutinized because the algorithm and the whole idea of what is it called, cybermetrics.
Sabermetrics. Yeah.
I think it's going to end up destroying the game. Personally,
it's hard to say. I don't disagree, but at least it does make it more interesting.
Yeah.
It gives a whole lot more of the responses of what a bunch of bullshit out of my mouth. But I don't know if it's going to destroy the game.
Well, let's take a look at two potential rule changes that are not going to happen. They could happen. We don't know if they'll happen. One is the idea that if you bring in a pitcher, he's got to face at least 3 batters, unless one of those batters leads to the end of an inning. There can be a pitching change between innings. So then you don't have those specialized, the sabermetrics. This guy has to pitch to this batter. This guy has to pitch to this batter.
But it's also kind of what happened in the playoffs where I think the Brewers threw like a one-pitch starter.
Exactly. That'll be eliminated as well. I mean, that means your starter will have to go to at least 3 hitters at least.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. I'm sorry, but
oh no, it was
pretty
like,
smart because the other team's going to put up a roster,
a different lineup.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I mean, it was. It's like running to first on a drop third strike. It's brilliant. It's a smart play to do. You're out. You're out. They call it. You got to. It's all about pushing. Yeah, it's all about pushing the envelope. What can you get away with?
And so, I mean, I like that because I think you should be able to get both a lefty and a righty out as a pitcher. You've done it your whole life probably, so make sure those pitchers have value on the team besides just being a one batter pitcher.
Right.
Another question is there going to eventually be rules that talk about how much the defense can shift? Again, that goes into the sabermetrics about where a hitter hits.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about rules that define how much you can shift?
Well, I think whether you're looking at the numbers or you're just like, hey man, I've played this guy for 4 days now, 4 games, and he's hit the ball in the same spot every time.
But should there be able to be 4 infielders on one side of the diamond?
If you're gonna, I think so because if you're gonna expose that side of the diamond, it's like taking a goalie out in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, we're gonna take a goalie out and we're gonna add another guy on because it's that point in the game.
Yeah.
We're going for it. It could be a do or die situation of what you're referring to, where it's like if that's the case, then it's like it's got to be like bottom of the ninth, that guy's coming in, okay. But like even then, it's like how do you determine that level of need?
And also, how do you determine what level of restriction you're going to put on it? Like, you can't shift 10 feet or is 8 feet?
A degree.
Well, I think the idea would be that there has to be 2 people on each side of the infield. So, like, maybe one person could be lined up all the way next to the second base bag.
Yeah, but then it's like, why even bother shifting? What I love, I'm totally fine with the shifting because it's forcing the hitters to improve. Because the Cubs have turned into this opposite field hitting team, and it's completely changed the landscape of
That's cool.
It's so much more fun, and you can tell when that hitter's trying to hit to the other side. I think it's fun.
I agree with that. I think the idea of like it's forcing the hitter to use the field, the whole field,
and nothing but the field.
Yeah, and just play the field. You know,
I do love anytime that they completely leave open one side of the diamond, and the guy just drops down a bunt to where nobody is.
Mm-hmm.
I wish there was more of that, to be honest, and that would keep the players, the defenses, honest, knowing that, hey, this is a tool in my arsenal too.
Right.
As we're talking about the gamer pitchers, Damien brings up Verlander.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And talk about a guy that is still freaking great, even though he's got so many innings on his arm.
I just hope he gets this whole allergy issue
figured
out.
He's always on that commercial.
I know. Have you noticed?
Flonase is like this huge sponsor of MLB always.
And he's just like everywhere. And I'm like, I wonder if he's
I hate grass.
If he's like pitching a game and like, do they air the commercial when he starts in games?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're like some kind of like, I don't know, because like that's weird. I don't know, man. I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
Does Flonase even work for him?
I know.
Because it's like it doesn't seem like it is.
I can't imagine how often he's snorting Flonase up his nose. They're hard to.
Every mound visit is a Flonase timeout.
Is that what they're calling it these days? Flonase, huh? Okay.
All right, let's finish.
Finally to the West, where finally the Padres are showing that yes, they are a rebuilding team. They are not the really hot team anymore. They've gone down. Their playoff odds have gone down 9%. They're favored to end in the middle of the pack. Currently, they are in the middle of the pack. They're at 500 right now. And Dodgers are doing what we thought they were going to do from the beginning, which was they're starting to create some distance. I think they will walk away with this division. Colorado has been a hell of a disappointment, but
huge.
It was hard to really believe in them for some reason to me. They just seemed like they were losing.
The difference last year was their pitching. Like Freeland was out of his mind. It was an automatic win for him last year, and now their pitching is not doing very well, and their hitting has just kind of been status quo. And you can't win games if your offense is average in that stadium, and then the other guys are going to come in with a better pitching staff.
Right. I tell you though, the National League West, I think, has got a very bright and exciting future.
The Diamondbacks are tough.
Yeah.
They are really. I mean, they're only 4 games above 500 right now, but they played the Cubs really hard.
Mm-hmm.
They have a pretty solid rotation. Greinke's finally looking like Zach Greinke again.
Yeah,
that's great.
Does. You know, I think he's one of those guys. Is like just a comfort level, man, of settling in. Like I don't know, would he have an injury? Maybe that's what it was, or something last year. I can't remember.
I don't know if it was last year. I think it was the year before that. Yeah. Something, but he got this huge contract, and then did nothing that new contract year, and then he might have gotten hurt. I don't remember.
And he went to a division rival too, which is like, ooh.
Who was he with before? I thought he was with
Dodgers.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
He went from the
Kansas City initially.
Kansas City to the Brewers.
Yeah, that's right.
Get out of town. He was. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Brewers then to the Dodgers, and then Dodgers to, he was on the Brewers for I think for a trade deadline half season.
It was, yeah.
He was going into contract here. Royals were dumping contracts.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
Yeah. And it was so funny because I remember in his younger days. I mean, first off, he had a couple of years where he started off the season 8-0, and suddenly, boom, Cy Young contender. And there was talk of him being traded here or there, and he didn't want to play in a major market. I think there was some social anxiety type stuff, and then he ends up on the Dodgers. I'm like, okay, I guess he got over that.
Right.
And he did well at the Dodgers, I thought.
Yeah.
That's why he got that huge contract.
And I thought the Dodgers would keep him because they had, that's a hefty 1-2 punch when you got Kershaw and Greinke, and then I know they have other pitchers they brought in too. That would have been a really dangerous.
Walker Buehler is fantastic
pitcher, and then Maeda, who's sometimes awesome, but then when it's on the fantasy team that I'm playing, he throws a complete game shutout or something.
Yeah, then you pick him back up and he just tanks. It's all about that, that karma, man.
Hyun-Jin Ryu as well is a guy that has the potential to have a really great outing, but he's dealt with. I think he's a guy that might have innings limits on him at this point because he has a tough time staying
The Dodgers are probably the team to beat in the National League, which I hate admitting because I hate them in every fiber of my being, and I hope Mike Brennan's watching.
And it's interesting, they traded Puig in the offseason, so he's no longer part of that.
Make me like them any better.
Cody Bellinger is just such a.
Do you like Puig anymore?
Player. No.
Well, now he's a rival. He's in Cincy.
The Reds, I don't know how much of a rival.
How about that fight, man? Ketchup and Mustard went at it a couple months ago.
Ketchup and Mustard.
Did you guys remember that?
I didn't see it.
Oh, it was the Reds and the Pirates. Ketchup and Mustard.
Oh, yes, I heard about the fight. I didn't see it.
Puig was just like an innocent bystander until he threw himself into the whole front.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
He was going crazy, man. Yeah. It was fun to watch, but I was just it was yellow. The Pirates were wearing their yellow jerseys. The Reds were wearing their red jerseys.
Yeah,
and you're just wow,
it was a throwback day, I think.
Something it was a Sunday afternoon.
Sure,
day when they all wear their throwbacks. Yeah.
Right.
People get riled up after church,
Yeah, it's they all have their version of the Bible.
Yeah.
And so the 95% playoff for the Dodgers. Go up and see. I want to see the East again. Oh wow, 55 only for the Phillies.
So the East looks pretty up in the air, and so it has the odds of winning the division versus winning the wild card. So you add those together, you get your playoff percentage.
I would pay attention -3 and a 15% jump.
So they're going different directions there.
Yeah,
that's Philly with a -3 and Atlanta with +15.
Yeah, that's a big.
Also,
big
the Mets down 9%. That's a sizable loss within the span of 1 week. So in the Padres, the other story out of there is this phenom, Fernando Tatis. Thank you from the White Sox.
You're welcome.
You can just go ahead and have that, apparently.
Yeah.
He's on the injured list, and he'll be out for another couple of weeks. But it's so fun to see.
Horrible watching. Did you see that injury?
I did not see the injury.
He did
Was it a slide into second or something like that?
Oh,
no,
it
was fielding.
He did a complete split, tore his hamstring.
Yeah.
A male split.
Yeah, to field the ball. He was trying to do a quick double play turn, I think it was, but try to get in position, and the cleats just went out from under him.
Oh my god!
And
it was bad.
Ouch!
I can't watch that stuff.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like watching those videos where people are really high and they're walking over a glass bridge, and my hands get sweaty, and I'm all
yes.
That's how I was watching that injury.
I heard high in a much different way.
Oh, yeah.
When they're high walking over a bridge, this isn't good.
When they're high,
it's not good either when they do that. Right?
I'm so high right now in so many ways.
And then you have a glass floor you're walking on. It's it makes it even crazier. Let me tell you.
We're running on the hour mark.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. But speaking of injuries, and we do give a little fan service to the White Sox since that's a portion of our viewership. Nate Jones is again out for the season. The Sox have 1 or 2 more options on him. I think at this point they know they have to cut bait. He just can't stay healthy. When he is healthy, he's a really great lights out reliever, but it just has not happened for a long time.
See, my thing is if he goes somewhere else and all of a sudden is healthy. I'm gonna have a problem because again,
you'll think it's the coaching or
I'm
training.
gonna go back to the training staff.
Yeah,
Man.
right.
We've had 3 guys get Tommy John in the last year.
Carlos Rodon is one of those guys that just pretty recently accepted that he has to. He was looking for second opinions for a while there. So
Mike Kopech.
He'll be out until probably All-Star game of next year.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Kopech will probably. We're missing him all of this season. One of the brightest parts of the rebuild, ideally, is he threw like 4 games last year on his call-up and was out for the season. He didn't even make it through the 1-month call-up before Tommy John. So that was kind of a devastating one.
Yeah, that was a blow.
So let's end on that high note.
Predictions.
But Eloy Jimenez coming back, and this guy's a stud. I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah,
an
that's
ankle
fun to watch.
That easy.
He is fun to watch.
He'll get over that, and it's really wonderful. Jose Abreu is finally hitting well now, and I think he's just such a great mentor for Eloy Jimenez.
Do the White Sox trade Abreu at the trade deadline?
I hope they extend him for a couple of years.
What would they get for him? You're going to have to get some pitching if you do trade for him.
He was the Silver Slugger winner last year.
Yeah.
But that is the question. So many teams are set or at least content with first base DH type places, hitters. So I really hope they extend him. He's getting up there in age, and he likes playing for the White Sox. I think we'd be able to not have to. He's
who knows? He's from Cuba. So
he could be 19.
Remember Ruben Sierra? He was 49 for 5 years. His last 6 years in Major League Baseball.
49.
But no, I think the reason he likes playing for the White Sox is that
he's 32 currently.
Yeah, the White Sox have a really strong relationship with Cuba.
Cuba.
Going back to like Minnie Minosa. And they even got a guy. Well, he's actually from Dominican Republic. Luis Robert. Or is it Robert?
Luis Robert.
Oh yeah, Luis. He's from the Dominican, but there's a few other ones that they've been able to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Alexi Ramirez, of course.
Alexi Ramirez was
a little ways back.
Oh yeah, right.
It was one of those things that anytime Cuban defected, the message boards on any site were like, "Here's the next White Sox."
Yeah.
Yeah. So prediction for whether or not the White Sox are going to be above 500 this year.
Oh, sure.
Well, that's a good question.
I think they
immediately. Oh, sure they
are. White Sox are going to turn it around and end up.
They're already turning it around.
They're going to probably win the wild card in the American League.
Interesting. Yeah. The wild card with the amount of good, solid teams in the.
I know.
American
That's what's so great. No one's going to see.
You're dealing with Tampa Bay and New York and Boston. All 3 of them fighting for that one spot.
Well, there's 2 wild cards, isn't there?
Minnesota. I'm just saying. Minnesota and Cleveland are going to be fighting. Houston's probably locking in. I don't think the Angels. Oakland could turn it around.
I really think the White Sox are going to win the World Series.
So calling it right now.
I'm just going to, let's just say what it is.
So currently the White Sox are only 3 games back for the second wild card.
Yeah.
Ahead of them are the Angels. They're just a half game ahead, and I'm just not a big believer in the Angels yet. Yeah. Boston's ahead of them as well. Boston will get better. Yeah. That's the thing. They've got too many good players. They are underachieving. They're going to get better. And I think another interesting thing to look at is the run differential. Scoring versus preventing runs. The White Sox are at a -34 right now, which is not. But also Cleveland, who has the second wild card spot, is only a +3.
Right.
That's
I really think the White Sox are. These are just a smoke and mirrors kind of thing.
I could actually see the White Sox passing Cleveland in the standings overall because Cleveland has had some pitching injuries as well, which aren't doing them any favors. And they got to be very happy that they did not trade one of their frontline starters like they were trying to do in the offseason. And that's why you don't do that. You've got good pitchers, you hold on to them. Unless you're rebuilding.
My Cubs fan prediction for the White Sox, no more than 5 games over 500. If that gets them a wild card, I think they'd be a little lucky. But I think they can make it over 500.
I do. My thing with the White Sox this year is that they're going to be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
They had to go. They have to go up. But
we have pitching issues, as we're talking about with the injuries, and I don't know what's going to happen there.
If we had pitching, we'd be a pretty dangerous team, I think.
Can the White Sox call up another player or two to start giving them experience? And if they do, if they suck, that's fine. They got to get that experience in, and this is a good time to do that.
Why not?
Which might hurt our final record.
Yeah.
But as you look at this, you look at teams like Kansas City, Baltimore, Toronto, Detroit, Seattle, Texas, Oakland. There's a lot of scuffling teams and a lot of teams that are rebuilding. Because of that, the Sox will rack up some wins.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you're going to be facing. Okay. So I think
And I also
I'd be very happy if the White Sox ended at 500 this year.
Like there are teams also like Cleveland has won their division I think 3 years in a row, a World Series appearance.
At least 3 years.
Yeah.
I think they have a really good minor league system, but like, what's the shelf life on a dynasty, if you would want to call it?
They're done.
You know what I mean? Like they're at that point where like they're gonna have to start going back to rebuild. That cyclical kind of thing.
Right.
And the White Sox are just ready and poised to get right back up there.
By the way, the fact that I just said they're done means that they're going to the World Series next year.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
but
well, that's fine. But this year, I just think that they're tired, basically. You go deep in the postseason like they have.
Time and time again.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it
toll.
catches up with you. Same with the Cubs. The
That's
Dodgers
what
are
I'm
going to
worried
get
about
this,
with the Cubs.
eventually.
I'm hoping for the Dodgers.
Red Sox will get it. I mean, everyone goes through it. I think the only guys who figured out how to do it right were the guys in San Francisco. They won 3 World Series in 6 years.
Yeah.
That's like they figured it out.
Well, and then we have the Astros. They've been going deep, and they are looking amazing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they are the best team in the American League with 31 wins.
It's all that Flonase, man.
10-game winning streak.
Yep.
They called them greenies in the 80s, Flonase in the
We know
the
what
teens.
the Flonase really is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me take one last look. Make sure there's no last-minute comments. Nope. Verlander's last comment. Thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting.
All right, folks.
Thank you.
And Joe, if you want to here's the really graceful time where we reach the screen to hit the we're done. But hey, camera guy, if you can just cut it for
everybody.
us. Thanks for watching, and thanks for continuing.